When Naomi stepped off that bus, the town didn't see grief. It saw failure. She had left years ago with a husband and 2 sons. She came back with neither, only Ruth. And Ruth didn't belong there. She wasn't from Bethlehem. She wasn't born into that soil. She didn't even speak quite like them. Go back to your people, Naomi had told her weeks earlier. When the funerals were over and silence filled the house, you still have a future. But Ruth had shaken her head, soft, firm. Where you go, I will go. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't impulsive. It was love, the kind that stays. The first morning in Bethlehem, Ruth woke before sunrise. The small house felt unfamiliar. The grief felt heavy. But Naomi was still asleep, and there was no food in the cupboard. So Ruth tied her hair back, put on the only jeans she owned, and walked toward Harvest Ridge, the largest agricultural company in the region, owned by Boaz Walker. She didn't know his name yet, only that temporary workers were allowed to gather leftover produce after main shifts ended. It wasn't glamorous work. It was hot. It was dusty. It was humbling. But Ruth worked like someone who refused to be pitted. She bent down, stood up, carried crates heavier than she should have, and she never once complained. Late that morning, Boaz arrived. He didn't need to inspect fields personally. He had managers for that. But Boaz believed something simple. If you lead people, you should see them. He walked the rows slowly, greeting workers, listening. Then he noticed her, not because she was loud, because she wasn't. She worked with focus. No phone, no gossip, no flirting, just quiet determination. Who is she? He asked one of the supervisors. The widow who came back with Naomi. Boaz looked again. There was something about her posture. Strength wrapped in grief. He didn't look away quickly, and for a second, as if sensing it, she glanced up. Their eyes met. It wasn't cinematic. It wasn't thunder and lightning. It was awareness. Then she looked back down. He felt something shift. That afternoon, 2 workers muttered near her. She won't last long. She doesn't belong here. Boaz stepped closer. Everyone belongs where they work with integrity. The men went silent. Ruth didn't look at him, but she heard, and she felt protected. Not owned. Protected. There's a difference. Later, when most had left, Boaz approached her directly. You've worked all day. She straightened. Yes, sir. Boaz, he corrected gently. Up close, she noticed something. His voice wasn't sharp. It was steady, measured. He studied her face carefully. I've heard what you did for Naomi. Ruth's throat tightened slightly. It was right. He nodded. Stay in my fields. Work near my team. If anyone gives you trouble, they answer to me. She held his gaze longer this time. Not flirtatious. Grateful. You don't have to do that. I know. That was the first moment her heart noticed him. That evening, Naomi listened as Ruth spoke. He saw me, Ruth said softly. Naomi smiled faintly. Boaz is not a careless man. There was meaning in her tone. Weeks passed. Boaz found reasons to walk the fields more often. He never hovered, never stared, but he noticed everything. The way she always gathered a little extra for Naomi. The way she helped older workers lift heavy boxes. The way she prayed quietly before starting her shift. One afternoon, he brought her a bottle of cold water personally. Their fingers brushed slightly when she took it. Neither pulled away immediately. It lingered just long enough. You don't rest much, she said. I don't want to waste the opportunity. He smiled faintly. You won't. One evening, under the soft lights of the storage barn after harvest season ended, Naomi spoke carefully. Boaz is a redeemer in our family line. Ruth's pulse quickened. He has the right to restore what we lost. That night, Ruth barely slept. This wasn't about romance. It was about survival, security, future. But somewhere beneath that, it was about him. After the harvest celebration, when laughter faded and workers left, Ruth walked toward the barn. Boaz was alone, finishing paperwork. When he looked up and saw her standing there in the doorway, something in his chest tightened. Ruth, she stepped closer, brave, vulnerable. You are a redeemer. His breath slowed. I am. She swallowed. Cover me under your protection. In modern words, it meant, choose me, restore me, stand publicly beside me. This wasn't seduction. It was courage. Boaz stepped closer, close enough to feel her trembling slightly. You could have pursued someone younger, he said softly. She shook her head. I want a man of honor. The words hit deeper than she intended. He looked at her like she wasn't fragile, like she was extraordinary. I will do what you ask, he said quietly, but I must settle it properly. Law first, honor first, then love. The next morning, in front of witnesses at the town council, Boaz made it public. Another relative declined the responsibility. Too costly, too complicated. Boaz didn't hesitate. I will redeem her. No embarrassment, no secrecy. Ruth stood in the back of the room, heart pounding. He wasn't rescuing her quietly. He was choosing her loudly. When he finally stood beside her weeks later, dressed simply but with certainty, and took her hand before their small gathered community, his thumb brushed gently against her knuckles. You came here with nothing, he said softly, but you brought strength into my life. Her breath caught. He didn't speak like a businessman. He spoke like a man who had fallen slowly, intentionally. I don't choose you out of obligation, he continued. I choose you because I admire you. Tears blurred her vision. He lifted her hand slightly. And I will spend my life protecting what I admire. When he kissed her forehead, it wasn't rushed. It wasn't urgent. It was reverent. And in that moment, Ruth understood something beautiful. She had not come to Bethlehem empty. She had carried loyalty, courage, faithfulness, and those things had led her directly into the arms of a man who saw her worth before she ever had to prove it. Sometimes redemption doesn't arrive dramatically. Sometimes it walks the fields quietly, watching, waiting, until the right moment to say, you are covered now.